Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
Welcome to the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money, the WorryFree Retirement, with your host, nationally recognized retirement specialist and four-time author, Tony Walker.
Considered by many one of the greatest TV shows ever made, Bonanza aired on television from 1959 through 1973. Starring Lorne Greene as Ben Cartwright, the oldest son Adam, played by Pernell Roberts, actor Dan Blocker as Hoss, and finally the youngest of the Cartwright clan, Little Joe, played by Michael Landon. Now, it is assumed that the success of the show would have extended long past its cancellation in 1973 had it not been for the real-world death of Dan Blocker, who died in 1972. So what does a long-standing hit TV show with 431 episodes to its name and a television show on retirement that just surpassed Bonanza, with this being our 432nd episode, have in common with your retirement? Well, let's find out. Well, welcome, folks, to the Worry-Free Retirement. And yes, I am that little man in the sweater vest, the Ben Cartwright of the financial world, Tony Walker. And yes, before we explore the 5 key ingredients for having a hit TV show and how these key ingredients will also help you stay the course with your retirement, let me introduce to you the rest of the financial Cartwright family here in the Worry-Free Retirement Studios, helping to make this episode happen week after week. America's favorite financial sidekick, Mr. Aaron Orander, Louisville, Kentucky's most laid-back graphics artist, Mr. Derek Hudson, and finally, Miss Meek and Mild, Mary Beth Combs. Okay, so what does retirement and 2 long-standing TV shows such as Bonanza and the Worry-Free Retirement have to do with you enjoying the rest of your life on the Ponderosa? Well, when I return, I'll share with you the 5 key ingredients to a long and enjoyable retirement. And believe it or not, all 5 of these key ingredients to a worry-free retirement have very little to do with money. I'm Tony Walker. You're watching the episode of the Worry-Free Retirement. We just surpassed Bonanza, and the Cartwright crew and myself will be back in just a minute. Stay tuned. Wondering how much money you'll need to retire? Probably a lot less than you think. I'm retirement specialist Tony Walker, and for the past 36 years, I've helped thousands of savers determine when to retire and how much money they'll need in retirement, and I can help you too. To meet in person at no cost or obligation, let me invite you to log on right now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com or call the toll-free number on your screen. We look forward to talking with you soon. So with the Worry-Free Retirement TV show now eclipsing Bonanza in terms of the number of episodes we have recorded these past 9 years, what are some lessons we can learn from the Cartwright family that can be applied to your retirement? Well, there's 5 of them. First, let's take a look at these. First of all, you got to remember that it takes a cast and crew to make this thing work. Number 2, in order to stay in the game, you've got to stay true to your character and values, which the folks on Bonanza certainly did. Number 3, you've got to do work for the greater good by, of course, helping others, and in their case, entertaining us for all those years. Number 4, realize that the show cannot go on forever. And finally, number 5, you got to remain passionate about something, yes, as we're going to talk in a minute, even in retirement. So let's start with the first point, which exposed itself following the death of Dan Blocker, aka Hoss Cartwright, in 1972, 1 year before they had to cancel the show. Following his death, while Bonanza tried to replace Hoss, the show only lasted 1 more year before it was canceled. That's because, in my opinion, the show needed all 3 of the brothers and their father, Ben, and their unique gifts to make the show work. So in the real world, when you are planning for a long and successful retirement, guess what? You've got to realize that you will need others in your life to make your money work. You're going to need a well-trained advisor, trained in the art of retirement planning. You might possibly need an attorney to draft legal documents that will make sure what will happen to your asset actually goes, these assets, to who you want them to go to. And finally, you need investments that you can be sure that will last as long as you do. Here's the second point. You've got to remain true to your character and your values. Let's face it, folks, assuming you're that hard-working saver who knows the value of hard work and saving for the future, the last thing you want to do is put all of your money at risk in retirement, because if you do that, you might one day run out and, of course, the show will be canceled. No, in retirement, there's really no do-overs. If you lose this money to a stock market or even a bond market crash, guess what? You're out of luck. Which is why you need a well-written game plan from someone you can trust, overseen by trained retirement specialists such as us at Tony Walker Financial. Now, assuming you are years away from retirement and still working, never forget that working for a living is one of the most rewarding and honorable things you can do. Never devalue the work you're doing, and remember that your work, no matter how menial you might think it is helping someone somewhere have a better life, and you are contributing to the greater good of society. So my advice, if you're still working or not sure if you can retire, look at work not as work, but as a privilege available to anyone, yes, even those retired who can still work at something in order to contribute to the greater good of all. Number 3, assuming you decide to hire someone such as us to ride onto the Ponderosa and start taking care of your money, you then must ask yourself the following. Is that retirement planning firm working for you and your greater good, or for theirs? In other words, are they more interested in making money on your money, or are they trying to help you use and enjoy more of your money before it's too late? Well, the only way to know that is by the amount of clients that the firm has and how well they maintain a relationship with those clients over the long haul, which we are proud to say at Tony Walker Financial, we are doing just that. With myself at the helm, 3 salaried fiduciaries besides myself, also 11 trained full-service retirement planning specialists, we are all well equipped to committing to your work and making sure that you make the most of your money. Number 4. Yes, folks, I hate to tell you this, but just like Bonanza had to call it quits at some point, guess what? You and I will too, which is why you need 2 things in retirement. First, you've got to have a written game plan of how best to use and enjoy this money at the least amount of cost, and of course without the fear of one day running out. The second thing you're going to need in order to truly enjoy this money before it's too late, you've got to take on what I call the live well, die broke philosophy. A philosophy that has been born out of more than 38 years of working in the financial trenches and in watching the lives of thousands of retirees play out. Oh, incidentally, to learn more about this unique perspective on money, I would invite you to purchase a copy of Live Well, Die Broke from any major bookseller. Then after you read it, come see me to see how we can help you enjoy more of what you've worked so hard to save. And finally, the 5th key ingredient for having that longevity through retirement, just like the folks on Bonanza, and how to take care of things, is you've got to have passion. Passion for something not only now, but passion long into the retirement years. You know, Webster's defines passion as simply this: an object of someone's love, liking, or desire. For you, assuming you are retired, your passion might have gone from working full-time to instead now enjoying a hobby, more travel, of all things, maybe golf. Some people's passion is simply hanging out with the grandkids, helping with charitable causes, missionary work, and even things as simple as being passionate about relaxing and reading a good book. You see, I'm a firm believer that having a passion for something is the key to longevity in life. At Tony Walker Financial, and within the confines of the WorryFree Retirement Studios here in Louisville, we are passionate about helping as many savers as we can worry less about money. Well, why is that? Because if we can help you worry less about money, we know you will enjoy more of the things of life and that much more. And isn't that the whole reason you work so darn hard in the first place over on the Ponderosa? To one day take that money that you've worked so hard to save and use and enjoy it. Well, I hope so. Okay, speaking of passion, we are very passionate about the Charles Schwab platform we introduced back in 2017, a program that now has seen more than 2,000 accounts at Tony Walker Financial and brought in more than $200 million to Tony Walker Financial and this unique platform, a platform that over the past 5 years is providing our savers more flexibility and more opportunities to enjoy their money than ever before. So when I return, my favorite nephew and fellow fiduciary, Wes Walker, will be in the studio for an update on this very important program. So stay tuned. I'm Tony Walker. We'll be right back. You wouldn't go through major surgery without getting a second opinion, would you? Well, of course not. And neither should you blindly trust your life savings to the first advisor you meet. I'm retirement specialist Tony Walker, and for more than 37 years I've been providing free second opinions, and I'd like to do the same for you. To get your free second opinion, log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. That's TonyWalkerFinancial.com, or call the toll-free number on your screen.
Hello, I'm Janet Long. I live in Taylorsville, Kentucky.
My name is Greg Long, and I live in Taylorsville, Kentucky. I'm an electrician for Ford Motor Company out at the assembly plant on Fern Valley. I've been with Ford for 37 years. I plan to retire a year from this coming December, so about 13 months.
I retired in June of 2021.
Well, I'd heard about Tony I'd heard it through the advertisements on TV and the radio, and then I was talking to a friend of mine at work, and he has dealt with Tony. So I decided that I needed some professional advice, and I decided to give him a call.
I read over 200 books from June to December of last year after retirement. So constantly read there for a while, but it's something I thoroughly enjoy. It's relaxing. I just love reading, and I took a full advantage of that. Well, I could.
Well, I've always enjoyed cooking since I was about 10 years old, and progressed the difficulty of the meals and stuff. I met a person that owned a gourmet cooking store. It had the tools for cooking, and she would have guest chefs in there, and went to 2-3 hour courses and watched and did some work with them to develop a meal and stuff. And I've always been interested. So when we moved to Louisville, I did find a place here also like that, and then somebody told me about Sullivan University. So I went and talked to him and stuff, and decided to give it a try.
We like to travel, we like to go places, and my being retired helps unrestrict us when I don't have a job.
We have been to Hawaii and Alaska. We have been to Russia, which I never thought I'd set foot in Russia.
Mostly just Greg and I doing what we want to do when we want to do it.
Wondering how annuity peddlers can offer bonuses of up to 15 or even 20% on your money? Well, as the old saying goes, if it sounds too good to be true, there's always a catch. Here's my thoughts. Don't get stuck in the wrong annuity. Get a free second opinion from one of the leading writers of annuities in the country, Tony Walker Financial. To get started, simply log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com or call 877-499-WALK. Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement, and keeping in our episode here of how we've beat out Bonanza with a number of episodes and how we are constantly trying to improve our services for savers, I've got in the studios with us my favorite nephew, Mr. Wes Walker, fellow fiduciary, and also now You recently received your RICP designation. Tell us about that real quick.
Right, yeah, that was a good one. It's a designation you can get through the American College, so they do the CLU, which Trey, your favorite son-in-law, recently got his designation there. This one is the Retirement Income Certified Professional, so really just walks through strategies of taking money from IRAs and different qualified accounts. I know you trained for some time under Ed Slott, kind of focusing on the same thing, and he did a lot of the content for the RICP too, so it was a good review.
And you've done so much here so quickly, Wes, just really proud of you. But what have you kind of learned? I know when you went into this business with us and you talked about investments and you want to learn about investments, what have you learned of the difference between really a money manager, which is what we're not really trying to do, that's trying to just grow your portfolio at all cost, versus what we do in our investment portion with Charles Schwab for the saver personality?
Right, so we kind of joked about this on the radio show earlier. A lot of investment managers out there, portfolio managers, the idea is to do this thing called generating alpha or try and beat the market. So that's what they're charging you for. They ideally would like to try and do better than a certain index, and they'll usually charge you pretty high fees for it too. The problem is a lot of times they don't even really beat the index, and there's no planning behind the investments that they're doing. So really all they're going to do is try and figure out what things might make the most money, but they're not going to give you any advice on when to take out money, for what, from which accounts, and all the things that we do at Tony Walker Financial. So it's really a different mindset when it comes to retirement planning.
Yeah, that's well said. I tend to think what we do in terms of money management is managing a process that protects the client's money, but also gets that money back to them so they can use and enjoy it before it's too late. Like you said, really a money manager, from what I've seen anyway, I'm not going to try to speak for all of them, but they just keep trying to grow the money, and it's like, okay, what are we doing here? What's the whole point? Wouldn't you agree?
You can't take it with you. Even if you get double-digit investment returns every year, it's no good if you're dead. So
That's right.
I'd rather have it while I was still alive, so a way to use it.
And let's talk about our portfolios, because we've even changed the name of them from portfolios, which to me designate, trying to earn all these alphas and all that stuff, to just strategies. Talk about our 3 strategies and how that can help a saver get a better handle on their money, and again, better use and enjoy that money, again, at the least amount of cost.
Right. So in an appointment with any of our clients, the idea is to try and determine their risk tolerance. So, how much risk are they willing to take? And of course, we have annuities that we use as well, which that's going to dampen down a lot of the risk profile of their total assets. But for the money that goes into Schwab, we need to determine how much risk they're willing to take on, what their goal and objective is, and then assign a strategy to that person. So we've got 3 strategies: conservative, moderate, and growth. Conservative, you're going to find a lot of low-risk investments like short-term CDs, short-term fixed income ETFs, and a small amount of market exposure. With the moderate, again, you get some certificates of deposit, just bank CDs. You also get more short-term fixed income, but a little bit more market exposure as well. And then growth, that's the strategy where we are trying to grow your money, not at the same rate probably as a money manager who's charging crazy fees, but over time still trying to grow it. So we've got some options for everyone.
And then finally, I think you've had some experience with rollover calls and trying to get money moved over from other brokerage houses to us. What would you say to the consumer out there that says, well, yeah, how easily can I get my money back from you guys, and how expensive is it to get out of these portfolios? How would you address that?
Yeah, no cost at all. As simple as that. So when somebody wants a distribution or wants to move money, we're always very readily available to get that money to them. So there's never a fee for us to make trades or to move any money out of our portfolios. What we find a lot of times, though, like even doing rollovers from other institutions, there might be a big fee to get that money out, and then an advisor on the other end who is just willing and ready to hold on to that money for as long as they can, so fighting tooth and nail to let it go. You got to think, if they're charging fees on the money that they've got in that account and you're wanting to pull it out and roll it over to somebody who specializes in retirement planning, especially someone who's going to liquidate the account over time and give it back, they are not going to want to do that and miss out on those fees.
Well said. So folks, if that's you right now, if you're looking for an advisor you can trust, why don't you do this right now? Log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Click on that Let's Get Started, or feel free to call the toll-free number on your screen. Well, Wes, thanks for your time. We're going to get back into the show topic. Thank you so much for all you're doing and just the great work you're doing for our clients.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. We'll be right back. Have you recently retired, been laid off, or offered a pension buyout? Has the company you work for moved, been acquired, or closed its doors forever? And finally, do you have a 401k with a previous employer you'd like to move to safer territory? Then take advantage of this opportunity to move your 401k or lump sum pension to Tony Walker Financial. Let's meet in person to discuss your retirement options. Log on now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com to schedule your free, no obligation appointment. Let us help you today.
Tony, I've been in this situation where I left an employer and I had a 401k kind of hanging out there. And then other people who retire and they don't really know what to do with their 401k. What is the benefit of rolling that money over to Tony Walker Financial?
That's a good question. First of all, a 401k is a savings plan, but it's not a plan. It's not really anything that's managed. You have to pick your own investments. And what I've found, Diane, is when people leave an employer, even if they're 40 or 45 years of age, it's always advantageous to put that with an independent financial advisor. Number one, we can get certain products that usually the 401k does not offer. The second advantage of that is now we can devise a plan. You have a local retirement firm that's actually watching over it. You're not dialing a 1-800 number or getting online and looking at something that looks like a financial sushi menu. So this allows us to manage the money, properly position it, and also as someone gets a little older, we had a person in the office today, now they're getting ready to retire. And it's interesting, we moved that money over from a former 401k 10 years ago. We already kind of have the plan, and they are so comfortable retiring and now moving the balance of their new 401k over to us.
That's interesting. What if I'm still working for an employer? Can I move that 401k to you, or do I have to quit?
Yeah, that's really a good point. So if someone is over the age of 59 and a half, this is a government age, I don't know where they came up with this, but basically, and let's say you're still working, but you say, Tony, I want my 401k with you. I want a plan around this, but I still want to contribute to my 401k. Can I do that? Surprisingly, usually you can. So let's take an example. Someone's 60 years of age, they're still working, they're funding a 401k. They could roll over their current 401k to us, no charge, no taxes, we'll manage it, and then still contribute to their 401k. So it's a win-win for everyone.
For additional information and scheduling your free, no obligation appointment, go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
With the uncertainty of the stock market, our nation's debt spiraling out of control, and inflation running rampant, now may be the best time to consider moving your 401k to safer territory. My name is Tony Walker, and for over 38 years I've made it my life's mission to help savers worry less about money, and I want to help you too. To speak with me at no cost or obligation, why don't you log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com or simply call the toll-free number on your screen. Looking back over your working career, what would you say was the key ingredient for you being motivated to get up each day and hit the ground running by heading off to work for the past 30 or 40 years? I'd say the reason you worked so hard and committed to the task at hand was because of something called passion. Passion to work, passion to serve others, passion to provide for your family, and yes, passion to create something out of nothing and feel good about yourself in the process while doing it. But something can happen when you retire. You can lose passion for life because for many folks, their passion was tied up in their work, which then leaves them trying to find a new passion, which is not always easy. For me personally, the reason I continue to see 20 to 30 people each week and spend an average of 15 hours a week writing and planning for this weekly TV show is because of passion. Passion to make sure savers worry less about money and enjoy their years in retirement. It was passion that got me going with my first long-standing TV show back in the 90s and early 2000s, a TV show called Your Money Matters. And it is passion that allows my staff to continue to serve the needs of several thousand savers. Passion recently on display as we hosted 3 different client appreciation dinners. One in Louisville, Kentucky, a client appreciation dinner in Bowling Green, and our most recent event held in Southern Indiana. Oh, speaking of serving our clients, during our Bowling Green event, this couple was awarded the coveted Tony Walker bobblehead as they quickly glued it to their car's dashboard.
Really?
Derek, I'm just kidding. But with all the passions the world has to offer, there's a problem, and that's at some point, just like Bonanza had their final season on the Ponderosa, so will we. It's called death. which is why the Bible reminds us not to put our passions in the hands of the world, but in the hands of God. Check it out in 1 Chronicles 28:20, where King David tells his son to be strong and courageous. Why? Because David knew what God had always promised, and that is, he will never fail nor forsake us before all the work of the service of the house of the Lord is, of course, finished. Jesus basically said the same thing in Matthew 6:31 and 6:32 as a reminder that God knows what we need before we even ask of it. Moral to the story, while we are certainly called to dig the holes for the wells of life, we must always remember that it is up to God to provide the rain to fill them. And aren't you glad that we can depend on such a God as that? Amen? So how about you? Assuming you are retired or nearing retirement and have a passion for enjoying the fruits of your labor and pay less in taxes, less in fees, and all these unnecessary costs charged by the financial world, I've got to ask you a question. Do you have a written game plan for doing just that? Well, if not, why not? My name is Tony Walker, and to begin your journey to a worry-free retirement, all you have to do is talk to me. There is absolutely no obligation, and best of all, it is free to do so. So to take advantage of what we call our free 10-minute fiduciary phone call, here's all you do. Right now, just log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. And once there, you're going to click on that Let's Get Started button. Now, that information is confidentially sent to our offices in Bowling Green, Kentucky, whereby we will reach out to you and set up this phone call. Now, after the 10-minute free fiduciary phone call, if it warrants, I will be happy to see you at either our Bowling Green, Louisville, or Lexington, Kentucky offices. That's right, the owner of the company, a fiduciary with more than 38 years of experience and overseeing more than 5,000 written game plans, will meet with you to see how we can help you be more worry-free. So take advantage of this free offer. Log on now or call the toll-free number on your screen. Well, we hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Worry-Free Retirement, our 432nd episode, and we sure thank all of you who continue to watch this program, and we look forward to bringing you many more for hopefully many years to come. But you remember, between now and next week, if all else fails, that's right, you be worry-free. Make it a good one.